Recording. Right, so I've started the recording. So I will not be doing any type of streaming. So I'll just be recording, and I will just be basically working this out, and preferably later on, you guys will be able to um, do it as well, or view the recordings as well. I'll try and see if I can upload it tonight as well. Just to get some things going. So let me just make this a little bit smaller, so that it still is visible. And yeah, okay, so what I did now, so I don't need that Microsoft Word. So if this was the question, and I'm doing number 4, right? Let me just go up also. I'm doing number 4, and we will read it in a short moment. If this was the question presented to me in a programming activity or something like that, we will just basically start by doing a sample. So I will just look at copy all of those things over here just to make it easier for me as well. And I hope I copied it. Yeah, I did copy. Just a moment. Alright. So this is basically what they want from us. To the question mark, enter over here. It's a little bit sloppy because the current screen I am using is not to par. Okay, but I'll leave it as big as possible, and then the point that I'm trying to make is I will read the question over here, and then I will quickly do a pseudocode over here of what it is I am expected to do. And as I'm doing my pseudocode, this is basically going to be my type of a plan or my approach how to solve this problem. So that is basically just what we are. Let me just memo also that we are doing question 4, and it's from lab 2, right? Lab 2, last 2019. And okay, this was a Java program that was supposed to be designed, but we will just make use of whatever we have here and convert it to Python in the meantime. So, but the problem is basically a real life example, a real life problem that we have, and we will just go through it. So I will read it once, just through the whole problem, and then I will break it down into manageable parts. So it says, ever wondered how change is distributed to customers in certain stores? Okay, how do the people or the tellers give us change? Okay, we live that through every day. In Namibia, the following notes exist: 200, 100, 50, 20. Okay, we have now a 30 note as well included. 10 and the following coins are there. 5, I believe 5 is $5, 1 is a $1, 50 cent, 10 cent, 5 cent. So this is like the denomination of Namibian currency. For the sake of this exercise, let us only consider change below 50. Okay, so we only want to give change below 50. So we expect like people paying 100 or something like that, and we try to give change below 50. But normally this hint is it's given there because if you try to think of change greater than all the other things, it becomes a little bit complicated to solve. And then they give us a sample run here. Okay, so it says like when you run your program, you will ask the person to enter the item that they bought or want to buy, how much of those items are they buying, and then we will enter the price. Okay, so we don't know the price, so they will also enter the price, how much one cost. I believe that should be per one, and then it should calculate how much is the total amount they have to pay, that is amount tendered, right? And then it just calculates the change. And once it calculates the change over here, then it must tell you your change is this, and it's dispersed as follows, or the teller will give you as follows: 2 times $20, okay, which makes up the 40. 0 times $5, we don't need the $5, there's no 5 denomination. 3 times $1, 1 times 50 cents, 0 times 10 cents, 0 times 5 cents. So if you add all of this money together, it should give you the total one. And here it says hint, make use of the percentage symbols and this operators to determine the values needed. And if you notice that this symbol here is our modular symbol, mod and div. So remember we said div is you want the whole number, mod is you want the remainder. Okay, so when we divide, we want the whole number and we want the remainder. So this is a very good example of it. I also wanted to teach you guys about what is it about? Arrays. And arrays is like a sort of a storage container with encoding that we also all have to use. Alright, so I have an idea of what it is we need to do, and I will just quickly try and come up with a pseudocode quickly. And the pseudocode is basically almost, say for instance, partly done for you, because in the sample run that they gave you here, that's already part of the pseudocode that we have. We just need to make it a little bit more readable for us. Alright, so we will have a start. That's basically what we have to do. And in the start, I'll just leave a tab there open. We will say input, enter. In this case, I'll just say enter item name, right? We will enter the item name. It's fine. That will be basically just input from the user. We will wait for something. All right. So normally, in a pseudocode or whatever it is, we just write the commands. We don't write in anything. But I will leave here a comment, and then we say user enters item. Okay. So I'm just leaving a comment there just to help, or sometimes it's better to use or code in that way, so it can be easy understood later on what is this item that we're talking about. And what I also wanted to do here is I wanted to say that once you enter the item, we need to store it somewhere, right? Store it. Whatever they enter, we need to store it. And if you like, you can also take note that it either will be a var or a string. Since we are doing Python, I must now already determine those are my data types, that when we store it, it will be a string or a var. If we're going to use it later on, it depends on that. So then we have enter quantity. Okay, so I believe QTY is quantity of, and hey, just by looking at that, here we are entering the name of the item, but here we are using the name of the item. Can you see that? So this, what they entered here is now actually used here. So that is also very important. Name of item. Okay, and over here I will just make a comment. Item stored is replaced with item. Okay, now normally when I do this brainstorming thing, I normally type fast, and I will have a few spelling mistakes here and there, but I'm not so focused too much on the spelling mistakes. I'm just focused on getting the thing done. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller just so that I can still see the screen. Alright, so that note over there, it's fine. And then what do we have? Enter price. Enter price, it can be small, price per item, and we'll have NS over here. Alright, and then this will just be cost of the item. Alright, that one is fine. And then we enter, so we have we have the item, we have the quantity, we have the cost, and then here we should be costs will therefore equals to in this case I will use QTY because it's not a quantity. If we store it as QTY, quantity multiplied by price. All right, so that will be how we will store costs, which was not indicated in the sample here, but I believe that's we have to do that calculation. And then what we will have to do is now, normally if something costs like this, then we would basically try to print out what the cost is and say, after we print out the cost, and then we ask the person to give the amount. So what I'm talking about is when you go to the shop, you take your items to the teller scans them, and it scans how many items it does, and then it will show you what you need to pay at the end. So you cannot just give money. It needs to tell you this items cost so much, and then pay and then they ask you to give the money, or they wait for you to pay with money or something like that. So here we will just say print total costs for items. All right, so I just want to print something like this. I want to see what is the total cost for items, and then we will have costs. All right, cost over there. I'm putting it already in a string, but this is basically what we want to see. I just want to print that out, total cost for items, and then I will now basically ask the user to give the amount or something amount that is there. Okay, so enter amount tendered. Okay, and that will be in NS, so NS can be also something like we put there. This I will just make a comment, and I will say the amount the user pays, and we must also do what? We must store this. Okay, normally this will be a data type of a double. Money is always double, 2 zeros at the end. So we also need to make sure we say or classify that later on as 2 zeros at the end or something like that. All right, so once the amount is entered, we need to do calculations of the change. We need to do calculations of the change. Just go down here. So I need to calculate the change. So yeah, I'll just say change. Okay, but before I even calculate, all right, let's say this is now where you have to now do some scenarios and realistic way of thinking in terms of somebody's asking, I don't know what time we're going to finish tomorrow, probably at 6, because there's an opening ceremony and something like that. So as I was saying, what we need to think about here is realistic, right? Let's say you are entering now the amount, something costs like this, and you get those people in Pick and Pay, they fill up their whole trolleys with food. Then when they come to the teller and they open their wallets, they do not have enough money, and then the teller must now call for overrides. So we want to already stop that thing. So we have to check, we want to check now first if what did we say, costs, right? So if we have our cost and our cost is bigger than what did we call this one, amount tendered, what can you call that amount? We need to think of variables now. Cost equals bigger than tendered, let's just call it tendered, right? If the cost is bigger than the tendered, then what do we want to do, right? Then let me put a then because it's pseudocode. So then we want to print, what do we want to print? Not enough money. That is what we want to print, not enough money. And we basically want to do this again, so we will ask the person again, but we want to ask them to enter money again and try it again. So this will be like a sort of a loop as well. If the money is not enough money, try again, not enough money, try again, not enough money, try again, until the money is enough, and then we can go out of the loop. All right, so I'll just put here a indication here, a loop. Okay, and we will say, okay, try again. So this will be a print again, print, we say try again. All right, and after we try again, we want to again use the same code that we want over here, and I'm just copying and pasting, because after we say try again, we want it to enter again the same amount, right? And after that, we want it to go back into the loop again. All right, so if this was a loop, so I'll just call this like a method. So if we create a method for it, then it will be easier, because then we can just call the method again and then see if it will work or not. If it goes through the second time, if it's correct, it will not go in here. So that is basically what we want to do. So I'll change this to a method later on. And okay, if that is done, so if then we do the else. So if it's not bigger than, that means if it's equals to is not bigger than. If it's equals to or smaller than, then we can basically now calculate the change. All right, so this part that I just did over here, it's just to basically save us all the errors that somebody will come and put in a $10 instead of $100, or maybe they typed wrong or something like that. It just helps us. So else, so what do we want to do if it's the same or not? So then we will calculate now the change. Okay, so then change will be equals to tendered, right, minus the cost. Okay, and I'm typing here, so some of these things are just small or big and small. So then change will be that, and then what do we do after that? Now we will want to print out your changes, so then we will say print, and we will have a string, your change is, and I'll just put in here, and then we want to put in here the change. Okay, so your change is change. All right, that is basically what I want to print out, and because it's planning, I don't need to fix the errors of the code. I'm just doing this, and after I have this, I will just copy everything and paste it into the code that I'm writing, and then I will fix the errors later on there. But this is immediately the start point. So your change is change, and then now, because we have to do some calculations here, all right, so now we have to after we get the cost and the change, we basically have to go and do some calculations of a method, right? So we have to now call a method. So I'll call give change, right? So let me say give, I'll create a method. I'll just make a comment, method here, to give change, right? So I will call that method to give change, and that method to give change will be method. Okay, that method to give change will be give change. I'll just call it give change. And what do we want to do in give change? We want to send to the change. Okay, so I want to send the change when I call the method give change as well. And this method give change, we are going to print it out. Okay, so that is basically what we are going to do. So I want to print give change and in give change it's going to give me all of this examples over here that we need to do. So I've noticed that this is some extra calculations that we can do. So I'm not going to do those calculations inside my main code here. That will be very sloppy. It will be problematic. It will be a lot. There's many things that we will have to do and check, and later on it will be a problem. So I'm going to do it separately in a method, and after I do it separately in a method, then if there's problems there, I can fix them in the method and the rest of the things won't be affected. But if you do it inside here and there's problems, then you will have a lot of problems many places and you will be too much to handle. So this is what we call by breaking down your code into workable parts, and because it's a method we can call it all the time. So I only need to do it once and then we can call a time, and maybe at the end if I want to loop the whole program, then I can ask them, do you want to buy something else? And if they say yes, then we can run the same code again or something like that. So this is also something to consider. So this is basically it for the pseudocode, and after we end I'll just put here end. That's the pseudocode. Do you guys understand so far over here before I continue, or is there any questions regarding this, or
Yes, sir.
why did
Yes, sir, we understand.
Okay, so this is what I've expected from you guys. Any of the other problems as well, you break them down like this. You have to do the steps of what, okay, what am I going to do, what does it want, and at the end we will check if what it wants is
That's
the
I have
same.
a question though.
Yeah, do ask your question please.
So why do we use a method called at the end where we distribute the change in cents and multiplication?
Because I have to go and calculate them separately. Okay, something is wrong here. I have to go and calculate them separately. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
instead of me calculating here one by one and storing this and storing that, I don't want to calculate here now. Okay, so that is why I'm going to put all of this into a method. Right, I'm going to put it into a method. I'm just going to take the change, put it into a method, and in that method I can now manipulate the change into dividing it into these different parts, and each of these different parts I'm going to store, right? So I'm going to store like tens, 20s, 5s, 3s, 5 ones, 2s, cents, all those things I'm going to store as variables in the method, and when the change come in, it's going to like break it down into those parts, and those are the parts that I will return later on in the following way, right? I'll say 2 times 20 just as a string and so forth. That is basically what I want to do, right? So I have to call a method here because here it will be a long workaround, but this part here has nothing to do with the main part over here where we calculated the change and so forth. It's just like dispersing, so it's a good way to put it into a method. Is there any other question? I hope I answered your question. Any other question?
Not on my side.
Okay, so
No, not on my side either.
yeah, so some of you guys will notice that if you look at this, this was basically your project. This was also your project. So I gave you these things as your project as well. So it was just a way of Mr. Kwa trying to get you guys already ready for this one. So in the meantime, this was the magic number that Christofina did. We answered those questions. You will see that the criteria is write a pseudocode to solve the problem. So I wrote a pseudocode to solve the problem, and I believe at the end the problem will be solved. Create a flowchart for the above. I don't need to create a flowchart. With the help of both your pseudocode and flowchart, now we create a Python program, not a Java one. Okay, and I think this is what we did the last time as well. We did this one and it worked pretty fine as well. So those labs that are there are quite very important, guys. If you have time, go through those questions, they will help you. All right, so I don't need this anymore. I know what I need to do. I don't need that anymore. I have this over here, and all I need to do is basically copy all of that, put it in here, and I paste it in. All right, So that is the first part. So now because I used Notepad plus plus, all of this indentation, it doesn't recognize my indentation in Notepad plus plus correctly. Okay, actually we don't need all of those things, but I'm just taking out these colored areas because Python will say we don't know what you mean by those things, and I just fix the code. All right, so what we are basically doing now, once you have your algorithm ready, we're just going to do some we're just going to do some debugging. So debugging is where we fix the errors that are available on, and also correct syntax if the syntax is wrong. If the syntax is wrong, then we correct it, like what I'm doing now. So there's a lot of changes we need to do, but your algorithm is basically going to solve the whole problem. Okay, I don't know why it's asking me for ABS over there. Okay, oh, I remember that in Python our comments is hashtags and not double slash. So you can see already by coding I'm fixing the errors, and I'm also reminding myself that, oh, this is Python, it's not Java, it's not C#, it's not HTML or JavaScript or anything else. So I have to be careful how I comment, how I also do everything else. So you can put in the slash over there, hashtag, all comments must have hashtags. Okay, so this is done. We don't need the start because it will be automatically started, and we don't need the end because it will be automatically ended based on this. All right, so now what we're going to do is we said enter name, so I'll have a variable called name, and that will be equals to, and then we'll have input. Okay, open bracket, and in the open bracket we will have this sentence, enter name, and we said we want to have a line. Why do I put that line over there? So that when the message is presented, that the user will enter the item name into the next line. So I can just call this iname, probably it should be a nice way to say. Iname would be the item name, and the next part of us, we need to have QTY. QTY just short for quantity, and over here we can call it QTY, and then we'll say input. Okay, I'm coding now, but there's already what do I call it? There are already some things I'm thinking about that I will have to correct, but I will hope that some of you can already also remind me, or not remind me, like correct it for me, because you guys will be basically doing this tomorrow and the coming weeks. So I have that plus that, and then I want to put in this thing over here, and I want to put in over there, and I want to close it off.
So I think something's wrong with your mic. It's like you're talking from far.
Am I talking from far? All right, and is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you better now.
Okay, so let me just switch it again. So I am using a is it better now still?
Yes, it's much better. It like you keep fading away. You come back and then fade away.
Okay, unless I Can you still hear me now?
Now it's clear, very clear.
Okay, then it's much better. So let's get into the coding part as well. So the first 2 lines I'm done, but there's a problem with this line over here. Sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong place, right? So there's a problem with this line over here, right? There's a problem over there. So I want you guys to think what the problem is over there, and get back to me.
So it's an integer.
Okay, so it's an integer. So what should I do to it?
You should say int input and then enter quality of name.
Okay, so that's important, right? So that is very important, because we are going to get an integer from there. So we do a typecasting already, and here now we're going to enter the price. So I will just call it price, and that will be equals to, so price is a what? So is there anybody who can think out what data type can I use for price?
Integer or float. Actually a float.
It should be,
Yes, decimal numbers.
it should have decimal numbers, right? Okay, that is correct. Now remember what we said the last time is, if you have some of those stuff over here, I'm just gonna make this big because I believe we used it last time. So I just want to quickly see if in our code help it is there. So you will notice that most of, or anybody coders, okay, if you are fluent in the language, you don't need to use this because you will know everything is there. So but for you guys as well, I'm always coming back to this, excuse me, I'm always coming back to this to help you guys and show you that, okay, this is what we want you guys to focus on. This is how it does floats, this is how it does all the other booleans and so many things that we want to see. So over here we have data types. It says a float can either be like this, and it also indicates here how we do the conversions of a string into a float or something like that as well. So we only need to typecast it into float. There aren't too many other data types available for us to use, and that is basically what we will be using. So it's just float for now, but notice that we can also convert strings here and there, but we will focus on that when the time needs to be. So as we did with input, so this will be a float, and we will put that in braces already so that we know we are storing a float over there. And then we already have cost, so I'll just say cost equals to, and that will be QTY multiplied by price. So that one is already correct. We don't need to do anything there. And then we will print. So I already fixed my printing here a little bit better. So I will just make this more user friendly. So I will say that let me just put in here or it should be an article, the total cost for, and after for I want to bring in the QTY over here, QTY for QTY, and then I also want to bring in items over there, and I want to put that in over there, and I want to say costs over there, and here I will put is, and here I will put NS, and then I will put costs. So what I'm saying with this line is the message that must be printed will be the total items for QTY is how much they put in. The total items 4. If they put in 4, what is the items? Whatever they, not items, I name. Whatever they type in, whatever it is they typed in, the total items for 4 bananas is $cost. Cost is what we calculated here. And then we want to ask them to basically enter tendered amount. So now we will say tendered, or what do you call that, payment. So we can call it payment, doesn't matter which way we do it. Payment will therefore be input. We are going to ask the user to input, and then we will ask them enter tendered amount.
That shouldn't make it a float.
Yes, we will definitely make it a float as well. So that would be a float, and then that should be over there. Okay, while I'm busy with this, I did not do any debugging on my trace table, but I trust that my algorithm should work because I did line by line for everything over there. And finally, we go into our if. Okay, now here we said that we wanted to do some methods here that we wanted to use, right? So remember with Python, it's always this, especially with Phony. I don't know with other Python versions, it might be different. But with Phony, if you have a method that you would like to basically use or do, then you have to either define it on top, or you do like a dummy call to it at the top, so that this thing knows that we are calling a method at the bottom somewhere there. Otherwise it will tell you that the method is not defined or something like that. But let's see how it will go on over here. So this was the first part. What did I say here? If cost is bigger than tendered, so I just need to change tendered to payment. Okay, so amount, enter amount. Okay, sorry, that one is tendered is fine, and this one should be payment minus cost equals to change. Change is fine. Give change should be our method. So over here I have a definition which I will call give change. I'm just calling it on top, and we will take in a float, but we will just call n or change. Doesn't matter what it is there. So it will take in change, and after it takes in change, we will come back to it now. I don't want to define it very now because it's a lot of work. I just want to go down the code and see what else do we need. So over here I have this thing that we have to do here, where we have to basically try again, enter amount, try again, and try to change it as much as possible. Yeah.
The indentation for if, it's gonna give us an error there.
Okay. And why do you say so?
So the if there's a then.
Yeah, the then should be replaced.
No, before the if.
Before the if. Yeah, I will just backspace it now. I'll just put everything here quickly and we'll just fix it. Okay. I'm trying to be too fancy, but we will see. Okay, that is all. And from here, we need this to be there. I saw the other time that you guys like to put this if statements conditions in like brackets over there. Then we have to do, and just quickly go to the end of the line, backspace. I'll explain to you you guys now why I said we need to make this a method as well.
So why do we have two payment variables?
Yeah, that is why we are saying here. Okay, I'll explain it to you now. Let me just finish quickly this. After the if we have the else. I'll explain it to you now. Let me just finish most of what needs to be done. After the else, we have change equals payment minus cost. Both are float, so change will be float. And then we want to print the following. I'm just quickly doing the syntax so that it is correct. Over here we can even put in ms, and then we said in Python we do not have what is it? We do not have backslashes. Here I will put in a comment and say like this. Alright, so most of the things are converted to Python code, and let me quickly explain why do we have this line. That's your question, Nico Stipina?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's say the person is let me go here. Let's do a quick example. Let's say the total cost, the costs is, let's say let's use 56.90, right? And then the person pays with a 30 okay, we have $30, or let's say he pays with a $50, right? So now when we are calculating our change, right, we said change must be what the person paid, right, minus the cost. So what did the person pay over here? The person paid 50.00, but now we are going to minus that with 56.90, right?
Oh, sir, I get it now.
So that will mean that the person is basically, we have a minus 6.90 left. Now this minus 6.90, if we now say your change is minus 6.90, hello, nobody gives you extra money when you buy things. So it's like the business made a loss and you're still giving the person extra money. And if you try to throw this into our method later on, it will be a problem. So what we want to do is we want to tell the person, like, we check if what they give us, if it's not bigger than that or equal to that, it must tell us not enough money.
Not enough money.
Try again. And after try again, we want to get the new amount of money from the person. So yeah, so once it's in the if, right, once it's in the if, we want to get the new amount of money, and then after we try to get the new amount of money, if the amount of money is correct, then we need to do the following line again. But now you will see now why I'm saying we need a loop, okay? Or instead of a loop, we can do the following. Instead of a loop, we will just put, instead of an if, we can just make it a while. Alright, so this is now where our loop things come into play. So here I said I need to make it a loop or a method, but a while is fine. So while cost is smaller than payment, so it will repeat it until cost is not smaller than payment. Okay, so while cost is smaller than payment, that is what we want to do. Right, ask them to put in the money and all of those other things there. After that, if it loops, it will be fine. Then I don't need the else over here, because since it's no longer a if, we don't need an else. All right, so then I can just say change equals to this, and we can call our method. So the while loop here will deal with those funny people that don't have enough money until the money is enough. Make sense? Make sense?
Yes, sir, it does make sense.
Okay, so that is basically what we want. So now let's go into the give change method that we have over here. So after we get the change, we need a couple of variables that we want to do. So we know that the change, okay, let me give an example over here, right? Or we can use the example that they gave us. Let me just copy this last line and I will paste it here on top. Okay, so that is basically what we want to do. And I want to say, let's say we have what was the amount in the question? The amount, where's the question? The amount.
So I'll be back now in 2 seconds.
Yeah. The amount in the question was this one. And that is what I'm going to look at. So if the change that comes in is whatever it is, right? And they said we want to look at less than 40. So over here I will have variables that we are going to be using. So I'll have hundreds. So I'll call it hunds. So if we have two hunds, we have hunds. Let me just make hunds 2 for 200s. We have 50. We have a 10. We have a 30. Let's look like this. We have a 20. Okay. We have a 10. Okay, we already have a 10. Let's just put the 10 in the right place.
So the only part I was struggling with is this part of how to make the function. The rest I got it right at school. This is the only part I was struggling with.
Okay, so now I'm explaining it to you then. So we have a 10. What else do we have? We have a, after 10 we have a 5. We have a 1. We have a 55C. I'll call it like this. We have a 10C. We have a 1C. Okay, so what did I do here is I already tried to declare all of these things. And we are going to give them values very shortly. So we want to break down the change to whatever it is, right? So the question said focus only from 50, so that we don't need to do 100 and 200, but let's also do 100 and 200 just in case, right? So that it gives us your amount is this much, this much, this much, 0, 200, 0, whatever. It gives us an accurate picture of everything. So how do we get 200s out of the change? Okay, now 200s and 100s are tough because we need to know if the person pays, if for 200s we need to have like an if statement, and this will be like a switch, we call it a switch or a conditional if, like multiple if statements that we need to basically produce.
Using typecasting, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be using some typecasting as well. I just want to check quickly if we have those
Convergence.
condition statements. What do we call it? If, else if, all of these ones. This is basically what we are trying to say. So if this one is bigger than that, then we assign it to that, and then we want to also subtract it from that and get it all the way down to 0. Okay, so this is the biggest part of the code that we need to figure out. So I'm just going to quickly mute Kupenga. Okay, but the sound is better. Okay, so this is basically what we wanted to look at. We want to look at if this, elif until there's nothing left. Okay, but it's going to be a long story. So for some what do we call it, software languages, we have what we call a conditional statements, where we have case of. So in case the change is this, then go in here and do it like this. In case the change is this, then go in there and do it like that. I just quickly want to check something. How does they do case in Python? Just
So sir, I have a question again on this the function.
Yes. Go ahead.
So the reason we are saying we are using if statement is because if we have like a $200, if it's there, then we should print out the amount of the 200s, and then if it's not there, we should print out 100 times 0. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Come again.
So the reason we are using this the function is it in order to say if we have $100, then we should print it out multiplied by the number of $100. Or else if it isn't there, then we should multiply it by 0. Is that the reason for the function?
Oh, which I don't understand. Look, this function here gives the change. Are you talking about that one?
Yes sir, but maybe I'll ask at school tomorrow.
Okay, what I mean is the following, right? This function for the change is the one that will help us to give this out. Like, to whatever the change is, it's going to divide it into these parts. You know, like in the shop, when you buy something and the lady gives you change, then she takes like some from the $10, from the $1, from the $5. Even if your change is like $7, she can either see if there's no $5, she will give you $7 But if there's a $5, she will rather give you one $5 and two $1. Does that make sense?
Yes sir, it does.
Yeah, so now instead of us now to calculate all those things here in the code itself, I'm putting it separately where I can work alone on it to test it also alone. You get what I'm saying? Instead of putting it in here, I'm using this one here now. This I can test myself even before we run the whole program. I can just like say something like this, print and then I say I want to print give change, and in give change I want to put in like, let's say 15.45, like not like that, let's say 75 point, yeah, let's do 65, it doesn't matter. So let's say now I want to ask Python to do this for me. I'm going to call this method give change, and I want to pass in this value inside here. Can you see? So it must now say your change is going to be like this and like that and like that. That is what I'm expecting. So let me just give you also a demonstration of what I'm expecting out of this function. So over here, since it's 75, I will need another column like this. Okay, and here we will see we will have 50s. So it will tell me how many 50s do I have? 1. So it must take 150 out of this. Correct? How many 20s do I have? 1. So 50 plus 20 will give me the 70. Then it must ask me again how many 30s. So it must tell me no, you don't get any 30s. You already got 20 and 50s or something like that. All right, but let's ignore 30s, man. 30s is giving us problems here. I want to take out 30s. Okay, let's just stick to 10s, 20s. Then it must tell me how many 10s do you get. We already have $70. You don't need a $10 anymore. How many $5? 1. How many $1? We don't need $1 because the 5 covers the whole dollars part. How many $1? Okay, it's done. How many 50 cents? We need 150 cent because it will come out of the 60. Then there's 15 left. When there's 15 left, how many 10 cents? 1. After the 1 10 cent, it must now come to a 5 cents. 1. So that is what I'm expecting to see after I test it this way. But when I put the code in here, there's no way for me to test it here. Can you see? I could test it quickly here if it's working fine. But inside here, I cannot test it because I have to go through all of these processes before I can test the code.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so that is just a nice way of doing it up here separately, and we can work it. These other things we just need information, so it doesn't make any difference. All right, so now what do we do with the code over here? So first we need to check if there is $100, right? And if there is $100, then we need to assign it to hundreds, or subtract 100 from it and give it into it, or mod and give it into it, right? So all I need to do is, we want the whole number, right? We want always the whole number. So if I want the whole number, I just need to take change, right? And I will ask myself, how many how many hundreds is there, or how many 200s is there, how many can I get out of it? So I will just say change, and then we need to div. And if you remember, div is given by a double what you call it, a double division sign. Yeah, so that is 200. So if there is 200s, it's going to see there are two of them. For example, in this case, how many we will have? We will have 0 200s. Okay, that is the first one. So I will do the same thing for the change. So if it's having this and it's 0, right? After it does that, what do I want to do? Then I will say change. Okay, change will equals to change minus 102. Why am I doing this? Because let's say it found 200, né? Then I don't want it now to look at hundreds again from that 200. It must now subtract that 200 from it. So it will be this star 200. Okay, so once it finds something, I want it to remove it from the change. Okay, that is now what we will be using here. So this command over here will be going through everything that we have, and all I need to do is I will just change the numbers. Okay. So I'm doing this again. If it finds something, store it in this, and then please remove that amount of things you find, right, using this 200s. If it finds 3 200s, then it must remove 600 from the change. Then it must go and check if there are hundreds available. So this will be 100. How many whole hundreds do I have? If it finds anything, please remove it from the change. Then it will check for me 50s. Okay, so this must be 50s. Then it will check for me 20s. This must be 20s. Then it will check the 10s. This must be 10s. Then it must check the 5s. This must be 5s. Then it must check the 1s. This must be 1s. Then it must check the 50 cents. This must be 50 cents. Then it must check for me the 10 cents. This must be 10 cents. Then it must check for me the 1 cent. And this must be 1 cent. Okay, so what I will do here, I will also store start change. Okay, let me put it as change. Okay, doesn't matter how I call it, equals to change. So why am I doing this as change is because at the end I also want to check, is there still change left, or is all the change gone, or if something goes wrong here, I can still make use of this one later on. This is just like storing change temporarily in here. Okay, so let's just quickly do this one. Ready? So we have the change, the 200, then we have the 100. This is going to be a 50. We want to see if it's a 50. This is going to be 50. How many 50s times 50? Normally they will always just be 1. Then this is going to be a 10. Then how many 10s that do we have? Subtract it from the change. No, this is 20, sorry. 20, 20, 10, 10. Now 5 is just a 5. 5. This is going to be why is this 5 2 times? $5. This is supposed to be 1. 1. So how many ones do I have? Ones. And this is going to be 0.5. Okay, but here there might be a problem with the 0.5s, but we will sort that one out again. 0.5s. This is going to be 0.1. That is going to be 0.1. This is going to be 10 cents. How many cents do we have? 10 cents. Do we have 5 cents? Wait, $1. 5, also 50 cents. Sorry, 50 cents. Not 5. 50 cents. 10 cents. This one must be 5 cents. And 5 cents is 0.05. 0.05. Yeah.
Before you continue, can we just copy everything and send it on the group so we keep up with the same page on our phone?
Okay, I will definitely do that. Let me just save it anyway. Prop 4. 5 lessons, prop 4, and I'll just send it to you guys quickly. Oops, sorry.
So just send it as a text.
I'm sending it as the whole phony file. Is it okay?
Yes, it's fine.
If I send it as a, but you can also open it with a text editor as well, so that it is just the same. So that one is there. I will send the final solution as well, and as a text, let me just do the same thing so that everybody is happy. Copy and paste, and see, that should be the whole text as well. So all of it is sent to you guys. Alright, so there is a problem that I will be facing once I finish the $1 here. So let me just like that. I'll just put here a comment. I might have a problem here. Okay, so why am I anticipating that I will have a problem here is because I don't know if dev works for floats over here. So I don't know if that is going to work or not. So if it doesn't work like that, then I also don't see what the reason will be here. Right. So anyway, after that, what do we want to do? We want to return. Well, actually, we just want to print. Can I just print it out? Let's just print it out. So instead of saying print here, we will just call give change, and we don't need that. And here we will now print this whole line out, copy, and here inside the formula we will say print, and in the print we will say dispersed as follows. Okay. So that will be dispersed as follows. and in here we will start with 200. Let me just make this correct, and also B and B, and we will say over here 200 is Han2, right, comma, this will be string Han2, comma, yes, I can say 200s. I'll close that off. Then we will say here will be once this thing, comma, Han, comma, and then we will say this one will be hundreds, and then we close that off. And then we will say here after Han is 50. Okay, I'm gonna make small because I need to see what is after hundreds. 100 is fifth, so we want fifth. This must be a comma, and after the fifth we want also to see the 50. Then we want a 10, comma, and we want to say how many. Oh, it's 20, no? 20. How many 20s we want? Okay. Then we want to say 10. This must be a comma. And then after 10 we have index. Okay, so in Python I think after a certain amount of things it will still work if I just go to the next line, and that we put in there, and then we want to say comma. After this we have a 5, comma, how many 5s do we want to send, comma, after 5 we have a 1, comma, how many ones we want to send, comma, close it. Then we have a 5C, 50, sorry, 5, what did I say, 5C, 50 cents, comma, this, comma, 1C, comma, this, and this. Then we have 5C. Then we have quota. Here must be a comma, and after 5C, then this one 5C, and then we close the bracket. Okay, so I think I'm done with everything. Let's just quickly run through what the function will do. So we will call the function over here, and once we call the function, I'm just storing this exchange. It wasn't necessary, but the reason why I saved it here is because if there is a problem here, then I will be able to use exchange, and I will change exchange to a string, and then I can try and use the string to concatenate whatever is in the string, and try it like that. So I will know that we will see first how many. I will try and use exchange to change it to a string and play around with the string. It's there. Okay, that's another problem, but I hope it doesn't give a problem after that anyway. So let me just see the dispersed as follows. Okay, 2 Han, Han2 is 200, it's over there. Han is hundreds, like this. Fifth is 50s, like that. 20 is 20s, like that. 10 is 10, like that. 5, after 10 we have 5 with an E, not a fifth, so I just correct that. 5. It will take the amount of 5s. If there's 0, it will just say $0.05. Okay, 1, after 5 there's a 1, like that, it's correct. Then I want 50 cents. 50 cents is that, like that is correct. 1 cent, one cent, this is not 1 cent, it's supposed to be 10 cents. 10 cents. After 10 cents we have 5 cents, and after 5 cents, why is there again 5 cents, 5 cents, that is supposed to be 1 cent. 1 cent, 1 cent, and that means I need,
Also 0.01.
yeah, so this must be 0.01, this must be 1, and this must be 1 cent, and this must be 1 cent. Alright, so you can see always you have to go back and check whatever you have done, is it correct, is it looking fine? If it's fine, then it's not a problem. So what I want to do is I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna try and run it. So obviously I need to see the first thing, and what do I want to do, and anyway I'll just put a new line after that just to see if it will work. So let me run it first and see if it goes on. Okay, there's a problem here. Now after we code, then we go to debugging. Now we start to see the problem. Okay, invalid syntax over here. Okay, what did I miss? Yeah, I forgot a comma. See? So again, save, run it again. What is it saying? Invalid syntax over here at the 50. At the 50. Yeah, it's invalid because this is not supposed to be here. Wait, it's supposed to be here, and then here this is supposed to be a comma. And let's run it again. And what is the thing here? Give change unbound local area. Come again?
So the testing one where we had 75.65. Shouldn't it be gone?
Sorry?
So the number that we used to test,
Yeah.
the 75.65, isn't it the one contributing to part of the error?
No. I'm calling it. I'm testing my function with this one. Let me just put a comment here. This is to test the give change. Alright. So remember what I told you guys. Now over here the give change, it's telling me change equals change minus 5c times 0.5. Unbound local area, local variable 5c referenced before assignment. Okay, let me first see what does the teacher say. Okay, what does it say? Okay, no specific. This is line 22. Which one is this one? This is line 34. Where is line 34? Doesn't show here. It says unused variable s change. Okay, that one is fine. Using variable 5c before assignment. Now why am I using 5c before assignment? Fifth c or 5c? 5 fi, it's this one over here, 5c. Oh, I see, I have it over here. Sorry, that's correct, that's the mistake. Thank you. Okay, and let's try it again. And what does it say? It's name once. Okay, spelling mistake. Spelling mistake is where? Once. One. See, can you see how easy it is with phony? And I can just do my testing and it works perfectly fine. All right. So remember, for the testing part, it was just to show me this. You have, remember, we have how much change did we say we are going to use?
75.65.
Okay, so 75.65. So we have 0 to hundreds, is that correct? Yes. 0 hundreds, is that correct? Yes. $150, is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
We need $150. $120, is that correct? Yes. The two of them will make 70, right? Yes. And then do we need a $10? No.
No.
Do we need a $5?
No.
Yes. We need
Oh,
$5.
yes, one.
Yes. How many $1 do we need?
One.
Do we need $1?
Wait, the number is 75.65, right?
The number is here. The number is, where is it? It's 75.65. Do we need $1?
No.
No. So $1 is no. How many 50 cents do we need?
One.
1. So I have the 150 cents. How many 10 cents do we need?
One.
I have the 110 cents. How many 5 cents do we
5
need?
cents. One.
1. How many 1 cents do we need?
None.
0. And it's over there. So it works perfectly fine. So now, since my method call works perfectly fine, let's now, we can now actually go in. Let me just stop this and clear the shell, because all the errors were there. So now you see why it's important to test it up here. We can try another value. Who wants to give a value here inside?
23.75 or 76.
76. All right. So let's try 23.76. So how many 200s? 0. Correct. How many hundreds? 0.
None.
How many 50s?
None.
0. How many 20s?
One.
1. How many 10s?
None.
How many 5s?
None.
How many $1?
3.
Correct. How many 50 cents?
1.
How many 10 cents?
2.
How many 5 cents?
1.
And okay, now the 1 cent is having -4. Okay, something is not right there. Okay, let's quickly look at the 1 cent here. Something is not correct at the 1 cent. Why is the 1 cent not correct? Okay, we need actually, how many 1 cents did we need?
Then 1.
We only needed 1, but why is it saying -4? Okay, let me just stop this quickly and let me run debugger step by step quickly over here, so that I can just do. So it says F7 to step through. I just want to step through. So it says here it's going to give change, then it's going to change, it's going to check 200, it says it's 0, it's checking this. Okay, I'm just going to go through because we already tested most of the things. Ne? Okay, it says 220 minus that. Okay, the numbers are getting funny. Ne? 10. So it's 0 tens, we don't change it, it's fine. $5, we don't need $5. So it's 0, it's fine. And then here the $1 we need 3, and then here the, which one is this one?
So 1 cent.
Yeah, it will remove it, that's correct. Then the 50 cents, it will take 1. Okay, but it didn't minus. Okay, it's gonna minus the 50 cent now from it. Then I have 2, and then here it's going to take 2 of the 10 cents, and it's gonna minus the 2 from the 10 cents, and then here the 5 cents, it says 1, gonna remove the 5 cents. Okay, what happened now after it removed the 5 cents? That's the problem here. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me just quickly do that again. I just want to see what the computer is seeing. And let's see faster. It says F5. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Just here. Step F.
So sir, after this we need to drop a GUI.
Yeah, I wanted to draw up a GUI, but time is now running out.
So sir, what should we do? A trace table and a flowchart, or should we just go through the code again?
Maybe Junior can go and do the GUI for us for this one, since he has it already installed. Okay, I just want to quickly check here after it removes the 5 cents. Okay, 0.5 minus the 6. It says 2. Why is it saying 2? That's the problem here. So it sees it's supposed to say it's 1, but now it says 2. But here it says 1 5 cents, but here it's saying 2. Why is it saying 2? Probably because I didn't name it correct. D. Oh, sorry, I'm using 10 cents again. That's the problem. See? That's why we call debugging. I'm using 10 cents again. That's why it said 2. Yeah, so this is fine. So this should work now fine. Yes, now it's okay. 1 cent. Everything is fine now. So this one works. Okay, and then here, let's say we are buying a banana.
So you got an apple.
Apple. Why is it giving me an error? It says int qty something
So that
items.
should indicate that it's a string.
Sorry.
Should we indicate that the input is going to be a string?
I don't understand. Which one?
Should we indicate that the input I name is going to be a string from the user?
I don't get what you're saying. Which one are you talking about?
So what I'm talking about is the I name, the variable I name.
Yeah?
When it comes from the user, should
No.
we indicate that the
We
user
don't
is
need
going
we don't need to indicate it's a string.
Okay.
Yeah. So why don't we indicate it's a string? Because it will automatically everything that comes in will automatically be a string. Okay, what is this? Load price input or invalid syntax. Load. Why is it invalid syntax? Price. Let's do it this way then. So over here I'm now just fixing the other errors that we have because there are now some things. It still says it's a problem here. Why is it invalid syntax?
So why is price an error?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out now. Okay, I said float. Here we said float whatever we get. Float this is equals to that. Float is this number over here. It's not. It's not picking it up. Okay, so instead of saying float, let's just see if we're saying price equals input enter price, and then let's just say price 2, and I'll say here price equals to float, and I'll say price 2. Let's see if it accepts this as a typecast. It still says price 2 input. Why is it there's an error now? Oh, sorry.
You forgot to close off the
I
brackets.
forgot to close off the other bracket. Eish, this guy is tough. This guy's those small errors. This debugging is probably going to be your longest thing you have to do in you said apple. It's the longest thing you will have to do for your thing. Enter quantity. Let's say we want 2 apples. Enter price. How much does the apple cost? $5.25, right? So it counts it up. Do you see our total cost for 2 apples is $10.50? Is that correct? Yes. Ne? 2 times this is that one, is correct. Enter amount. How much are we paying? $50. And after we enter $50, it tells us your change is 39.5. Is that correct? Yes. And then it says your change is given as 0, 200, 0, 100, 0, 50s, $1 $20, $1 $10, that is 30, $1 $5, that is correct, $4 $1, that is 9, $1 50 cents, and 0 everything else. Perfectly fine, no problems there. So this is a completely 100% working code. Okay, so how did you say Control L? Ne? Yeah. So can you see this is basically what we have done, and I wanted to talk about the GUIs in this case over here. And for the GUI, it's just going to be the user interface that we will be focusing on. And for that, I just quickly want to show you what we do. So in terms of GUIs, you will just basically have to design something over here. So let's say we have a text box over here. Let me just use a blank text box. So you will have like something like a text box where people will enter information, and you also need one will be either this is a text box, this is a display box. Okay, so you can also have labels. So labels is like what do you call this? This will be enter stuff here. I'm now rushing because of time, and the other label here will be view here. Okay, so this is what you enter in here. And let's say after we enter those things, let's say we have a button over here. Let me just add a text. Let's say here next. This is a next button. Okay, so after you press next, it will clear this. So you have to now say, okay, this is your label, this is your interface. After somebody types in something here, you click next button, then it clears whatever is there. It displays something, a message over here, and we continue. Or instead of doing it like that, we can do it this way, where the top one is the display. Okay, so the top one is the display. It's, let's just say a display. So you display here what you want the user to see, read the information. Those questions that we ask them is displaying here, and after it displays here, then they will enter information over here. After they enter information here, they just click next. They'll click next, and then we can have a final box over here. This box will be, as is entering information or they are entering information, it will also start appearing here. We can call this like a terminal window. I hope it will show, right? So terminal window is just like what I told you in the class, receipt type of a thing. Double C. Alright. So it's like a receipt that it's already generating. Whatever the user type in there, whatever you say there, can also be displayed over here in this big window, and all the calculations and the final change can also be displayed in this window. So when we do the design, you basically create boxes like this: text box, we call this a list box. This is a label, this is a label, this is a button, this is a label, just to tell you what is going on here. And apart from that, in terms of the design or whatever you do, you can now can change the page colors or whatever it is. That's just basic design. Normally with the other software, what we will do then is, if you want to code the text box, then you will double click on the text box and it will bring up your phony background here, and then you will now say, instead of iname, we will not get it from input, we will get it from text box 1. Can you see? Then we must now create functions. After we get something from text box 1, we must clear the text box. Then you see, it's a whole lot of things to explain, but maybe tomorrow we can use this code and explain it to you guys using a GUI. I just saved it, so I just also forwarded the new full working version code of the thing as we have there. So but hopefully tomorrow we can look at some of these things, and then for Friday we will, while we are waiting for the thing to start, we can also look at some other things that you guys have. And if you have laptops or something, please bring them along so we can set it up for you guys nicely, so that you will be able to use it. And I think next week I need to take off. I need to put in leave. I just want to take a break. There's no break. I have another I'm going to stop the recording now anyway. I'm also going to see if I can